Tharja is a character that's had an interesting history in the fandom over the years. While she's always been one of Awakening's most popular characters, there was a period of time where there was a non-insignificant amount of people who absolutely hated her. I've had several people say they remember being told that they supported child abuse just because they mentioned that they liked Tharja. It was rough in the streets for a while. Now, I don't know if this hatedom of her is still around, mostly because Awakening is over a decade old, so discussion on its characters aren't quite as commonplace as they once were, but I think Tharja still has a lot of interesting things to look at, because there is a lot this character actually does right, and in my opinion, a lot they actually do wrong. And I think the way she does things right and wrong is really interesting to talk about. So come on into today's video on the Dark Mage Tharja. And remember, if you don't like and comment on the video and subscribe to the channel, I will hex you with a spell from my gun. The hex is called I Shoot You With a Gun.
There is no meme. This is just a threat.
Normally, this is where I would start to talk about the riveting introduction of the character, and how the game immediately warms them into our hearts. But Tharja has one of the most Fire Emblem recruitments of all time. She's just standing in the middle of a map, you walk up and talk to her with your main lord, and then she joins you just because she doesn't want to die for the side that she's currently on. It's remarkable for being so unremarkable. Though I will admit, I do get a chuckle with the line at the end. You would trust me. What if this is all just a ploy to plunge a dagger in your back? My sister, the Exalt. I think she would trust you, and I'm trying to learn from her. Besides, I already need to watch my back, whether you're with us or not. Well, that's odd. Usually when I bring up the backstabbing bit, the discussion is over. I'm a sucker for any joke that's punchline is essentially, I didn't even think that would work. What can I say? But because Tharja has such a bare-bones introduction, I can get into her supports and the bulk of her character right away. Tharja's main gimmick, and I am putting gimmick in giant quotation marks, is her obsession with the main character, Robin. She is absolutely infatuated with them, constantly stalking them from afar, and constantly trying to win their affections in one way or another. And it's not just Robin Tharja's creepy with. By her own design and her self-made image, Tharja is a very unapproachable, creepy person, constantly being sinister, casting hexes and curses on people. At first glance, she does not look like a pleasant person to be around. And in fact, that's where a lot of the humor in her character comes from. People reacting to how her vibes are just absolutely atrocious. I want you to bring me a strand of Robin's hair. That's unbelievably creepy. What do you need their hair for? Yeah. I don't usually take sinister chuckles as an answer. So while I can understand being creeped out by Tharja's behavior, and I'll be honest, I think it goes a little too far sometimes, it is treated as one big joke and not something that's actually harmful. And on top of that, the reason I put gimmick in quotation marks earlier is it really doesn't come up as often as you would think. In fact, it's usually just there to springboard some other discussion. For example, in her Frederick support, the support starts with Tharja stalking Robin as they train. Weird and creepy, but then it immediately becomes about something else when Frederick notices Tharja and subjects her to training. So it really doesn't have anything to do with the support, it's just used as a way to get Frederick to talk to Tharja. Or in the Gaius clip I played earlier, yeah, the support starts with Tharja wanting a strand of Robin's hair, but it quickly becomes about Gaius goading Tharja into trying to curse him, and the wacky escapades that follow from that. For being her main gimmick to a lot of people, it actually doesn't hold that much relevance to her. No, Tharja's actual main character trait, in my opinion, is that she is the fakest I don't give a fucker in this entire franchise. As I said earlier, her gloomy visage and creepy nature is in large part self-made. Whenever Tharja does something and you actually look at the contents of her actions, she is one of the kindest, most sweetest people in Awakening's entire cast. Two of the best examples of this, in my opinion, are her supports with Gregor and Lon Q, which play out in a similar way of her basically playing their therapist. In her Lon Q support, she learns of his gynophobia and genuinely wants to help him cure it, seeing it as a curse that she can dispel. While Lon Q gives his backstory about watching the love of his life get cut down, she's genuinely very empathetic, and wants nothing more than to help him. No strings attached, no anything. She even goes out of her way spending hours to collect bat wings for the ritual. She genuinely wants to help him and puts effort into doing so, though Lon Q turns her down, because her ritual would erase all the memories of his loved one, even the good ones, and he isn't going to throw all of that away, feeling that the good and bad memories make too much of him who he is. But it goes to show how much she does genuinely love and care about the people around her, even if she does try to hide it with her sarcasm and gloomy disposition. And her Gregor support functions largely the same way, though this time Gregor is the one who approaches her and asks for her help instead of her doing it out of the kindness of her heart. Gregor wants to talk to the soul of his dead brother, and Tharja agrees to channel his soul through her, and it gives Gregor one last conversation with him and allows him to have closure about the biggest mistake of his life. And when Gregor tells Tharja that he's ready to give up his soul in payment, Tharja makes up some excuse about being tired and leaves, showing that she never actually was going to take anything from him, she was just doing it to be nice once again. She really does go out of her way for people a lot, and I think that's a part of her character that gets really overlooked. And while Tharja might be willing to do things out of the kindness of her heart and not want things in return, I am not so kind, and I want your money in exchange for the things I do for you. That's right, I have a Patreon, where for as little as $3 a month, you can help support the channel and make videos like this continually possible. Just go to patreon.com/FEMSPaint to join the club today. My patrons include the likes of Adebayo Thompson, Alex Orliga, Amuse not beating the Tails allegations, Andrew Crockett, Bean Juice, Benz Again, Dr. McBackstab, Hell on Heelys, Jae Hyun, Jespacito 2, Larmachi, Lysevening Bolt, Morgan Lorgan, Played Arrow, Played is pronounced like the pattern, Ranger Man Sam, Sean Vasi, Shen Lu, Viri the Artist, Ya Girl Owen, Brentendo 11, Drew Hack, Fire Emblem Lord, Ginger, Goo Gaga, Cornelia Milkers 92, Inverse, Lev Maverick, Maple Knight, Sombret, and Upscale Furry Trash. Thank you all for your continued support, and let's get back to the video. I could keep going, but this happens in damn near every support. Donald, Rickon, Kellum, she is constantly going out of her way to help people. And that kindness really is the true core of her character. Not any of the Robin stalking, not any of the creepy vibes. It's a genuine kind heart that she does hide through layers of sarcasm and creepiness, but in the core of her character, she will do anything for the people she loves. She's essentially Fire Emblem Squidward tentacles. I don't know what I want you to do with that revelation, but I had it, so now all of you have to have it too. The best example of all of this, in my opinion, and it's the last of the supports of this nature I'm going to go over, is her Nowie support. Tharja wants Nowie's nail clippings, because apparently dragon nails are used in divination rituals. Nowie agrees, but on the condition that Tharja uses a divination ritual to find her parents, just to check up on them and make sure they're okay. And when Tharja does that, she realizes that Nowie's parents are dead, and she tries to hide it from Nowie, talking very vaguely, saying they've gone to someplace far away, the way that you would talk about death to a child. And though Nowie is a child, she's not stupid. She does realize that Tharja is trying to beat around the bush, and eventually breaks down crying when she realizes the truth. And it's here that Tharja shows an expert ability at dealing with children, When Nowie tries to put on a strong face and act like she's not crying at all, Tharja doesn't fight it. She just says, I guess I was mistaken, and lets Nowie get it all out. She even goes as far as to look into Nowie's own future with a divination ritual, and tell her that she's going to live a long and happy life. This is the best support for Tharja in my opinion, because it shows a level of patience and empathy that Tharja so desperately tries to hide from other people, but as always, she can't help but show who she really is when it matters most. And this support means a lot to me personally, because of an event a few months ago. Now, this is really heavy, and I apologize if it wasn't what you were expecting, but a few months ago, someone I knew got shot and killed, and I was there when the social worker was talking to his daughter and telling him that she couldn't see her daddy anymore. How she acted in that moment reminds me a lot of how Tharja acts here, so this support has become very important to me because of events in my own life. I'm sorry if that was a little too heavy for what you were expecting for these videos, but the ways we experience fiction are a mirror to how we experience reality. So when you have something that is relevant to the fictional story you're reading, it can mean a lot more to you, and I couldn't not share how much this support means to me. Now, all of this begs the question, if so much of Tharja's character is this genuinely likable person, why did she have such a group of people that didn't like her? Well, there are two reasons. The first one is while all of what I just said is wonderful, Tharja suffers from having one really, really bad support. And to get to that, we're gonna have to talk about her daughter, Noire. Noire is Tharja's daughter from the bad future, where Grima fucked up just about everyone and everything. Noire's main gimmick is that she's a very cowardly and meek woman. She's constantly crying, constantly afraid, and Tharja, in an attempt to help her daughter, made a talisman for her, that when Noire uses it, brings out an inner demon and gives her a backbone, albeit perhaps too strong of one. Now this gimmick is actually nice for Tharja's character. It's a very her way of helping her daughter through her problems. That's not what the problem is. In fact, the problem isn't even Tharja's support with Noire. In it, Noire is trying to learn how to use the dark arts, saying that she always mimicked future Tharja's movements to try to do it herself, but never quite was able to learn truly how to do it. Tharja in the current timeline agrees to try and help her, but eventually realizes that Noire is really good at it, and actually stops her because of it, saying that the dark arts carry tremendous risks that she doesn't want Noire to go through if she doesn't have to. Showing a nice, sweet support between mother and daughter, but there is a line in there that I actually really like, where Noire says that Tharja was too obsessed with avenging her dead husband in the future to actually pay attention to Noire. She was a neglectful mother. Now that sounds like something I shouldn't be happy about, but you see, that's Tharja from the bad future. Sure, you can make a bad future where everyone dies, that's kind of the de facto bad future, but I like that it shows that it can have a negative impact on the people who live too. This doesn't show that Tharja's an evil woman at heart, it just shows that if you kill a woman's husband, that might have some kind of impact on her mental state. I like that the bad future Tharja is a bad mother. I think that makes the future more interesting. No, the problem is Noire's father support is one of the worst supports for one character I've ever seen, and Tharja herself isn't even in it, at least not in a speaking role. The gist of the support is that Noire is being used as a guinea pig for Tharja's hexes. In the context of the support, Tharja cursed her with a runny nose hex, just to see if it would work. Her father is understandably very upset by this, but Noire remarks that this is just how things are, and if her father tries to step in for her, Tharja's just gonna curse him instead. And upon hearing this, her father tries to go in and stop Tharja from cursing their daughter, and gets cursed himself just like Noire said he would. And the resolution to Noire's support with her father isn't that Tharja learns to stop using her family as guinea pigs, it's that Noire's father steals Tharja's hexing tools and runs away. And Noire goes, well, he never did that before. Maybe things can change. That is not the feel-good ending to the support that Awakening wants it to be. The way to explain this is going to require me to go over to another support chain with Crom and Frederick, and I want you to just hear me out here. In that support, Frederick decides in order to get people to join the Shepherds, he needs a marketing campaign. So he gets naked paintings of Crom drawn with an advertisement of "I want you to join the Shepherds," and Crom, understandably, is incredibly upset and uncomfortable by this. Now, if we want to take a realistic angle to this, that is a sex crime. Frederick commits one of the most blatant cases of sexual harassment I've ever seen. But I want to ask you, has anyone in the history of ever actually considered Frederick a sex pest? Well, Reddit exists, so probably someone, but the answer is really no, because what Frederick does is so far removed from reality. It's the equivalent of, I don't know, Barack Obama making a poster with his Barack Obama out, telling you to join the Marines. That is so far removed from something that could actually happen that you're able to laugh at Frederick doing that because you're not going to bring it up to any real-world equivalent. Noire's support with her father does not have that luxury. Because yes, someone using their daughter and husband as a guinea pig for magical evil curses is far removed from reality, but the way that Noire reacts to it isn't. Noire approaches her father about abuse from her mother making her uncomfortable, and when the father tries to talk it out with the mother and make it better, it doesn't work and she just does the same abuse to them. For a lot of people in broken homes, that hits way too close to the heart, so they're not able to look at it as a silly little gag like Awakening wants you to, and instead, they're going to take it seriously and look down on Tharja's character because of it. And what makes it worse is that that is so far removed from how Tharja acts around family. I talked about the Nowie support where she showed expert ability at handling a child, and her Kellum support is all about her caring about her family, so it doesn't make any sense that Tharja would act like this. And sure, Tharja does curse people for very flimsy reasons in her regular supports, but there's usually a good reason to it, not just because she wants to test a curse so she uses her daughter. It really just doesn't make any sense for how Tharja was in the game everywhere else. It's just a really bad support, and it's a really bad support in a way that a lot of people can't overlook. And as if that one support isn't bad enough, Tharja suffers from another problem. And it has nothing to do with Awakening itself, it's everything that comes after Awakening. Tharja is one of the most Flanderized characters in this franchise, and that's saying something from the franchise with Erica in it. Fire Emblem Warriors has all of Tharja's supports being about Robin in some way. Fire Emblem Heroes places an incredible emphasis on Robin for her. Her traits of being kind are just completely lost, in exchange for hamming up the obsession with Robin, and not really in any funny ways like in the original game, because Heroes doesn't have her bouncing off of anyone to make her obsession funny. So she's just kind of weird, creepy, and off-putting with none of the payoff. Combine that with all the fan service costumes they put her in, and you could see how someone who isn't that aware of Awakening could think Tharja's just some kind of weirdo gooner bait character, which is a goddamn shame because she's so much more than that. Though I will admit, I'm not going to act like she didn't have fan service in her own game. Her base design makes absolutely no sense if you think about it, And we can't forget that she had one of the first cases of censorship in the entire franchise. Because I am just clutching my pearls, thinking about what would happen if the youths of today ever learned that women have butts.
I have the sudden desire to throw rocks at homeless people.
But it really feels like two intelligent systems, Tharja is nothing more than her Robin obsession and this swimsuit scramble. And that's a goddamn shame. Sure, Tharja does have some problems in her writing. Noire is a big red flag, but there's so much more to like if you're willing to look past the surface, and it feels like Fire Emblem themselves don't even look past the surface. I still believe Tharja is a very good character. Yes, she has problems, but I think there's enough good in her supports that genuinely make her one of Awakening's best. I strongly encourage you to try to give her supports a read-through, or maybe just play Awakening and unlock them for yourself. You'll find that she's a lot more than the fandom and even intelligent systems try to make her out to be. Thank you all for making it to the end of another character analysis video. As always, these are a ton of fun to make, and if you stuck it out to the end of the video, I greatly appreciate you getting here. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please feel free to like and comment or subscribe to the channel for more videos. And if you're so inclined, you could consider joining my Discord server. You're looking at some stuff from it right now, the link to it is in the description below, and we like to have fun there. And I also like to have mental breakdowns about the Baltimore Orioles and Baltimore Ravens, but that's neither here nor there. As always, I will see you next time. Take care.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.